A new investigation has revealed facial recognition technology is being used at a number of major Australian stadiums, often without people's knowledge or consent. Joining us live now is Kate Bauer, Consumer Data Advocate at Choice. Kate, thank you for your time this morning. What are your main concerns with stadiums using this technology?
We looked at 10 stadiums around Australia in the major cities. And what we found that was concerning to us was how little information was available to consumers about the technology that was being used and about what it was being used for. How the information was collected, how it was stored, if it was being shared. Really, there was very little information available to consumers, and often that information was very difficult to find, buried deep inside the conditions of entry at the bottom of a website.
Do we know how long the data is being kept for or how it is being shared?
No, unfortunately, we don't. So at this point in time, we don't know, for example, if everybody's data is being kept for a period of time, if it's just people who have been, say, banned from the venue that is kept on the database. In order for facial recognition to work, it needs to capture that information and create a face print in order to check it against a database. So we know if it's in use that everybody's information will be captured. But then how long that information is then stored for and how securely it's stored or where it's stored are still some of the questions we have. And we think that consumers really have a right to know when a technology that's as kind of controversial and invasive as this technology is in use, consumers really have a right to know the answers to those questions.
What would you like stadiums to do? What do you think is a fair solution here? Do you think stadiums perhaps actually need this technology for their security purposes?
So we certainly appreciate that stadiums do have to keep an eye on security, and obviously nobody wants to see violence or antisocial behaviour at sporting events or at concerts. But this is pretty serious technology. It has some specific human rights, some privacy, and also some cyber security implications. We use our face prints now, for example, to access our phones, to access our bank accounts, to cross international borders safely. So if it were to fall into the wrong hands, it might be simple enough to change your license number, but you can't change your face. And that's why we need to see more rules in place about how this technology is being used. And that's why we're calling on the federal government to act urgently to introduce clear guidelines and some regulation about what's appropriate use and how that information should be stored and handled.
What choice do consumers have over this? And do you think it's ever going to get to a point where consumers may not attend a stadium because they're too worried about it?
Well, so one of the problems now is that often consumers don't find out about this until the point where they're actually entering into the stadium or entering into the venue. So often the information is not available at the point of sale, so the ticketing website where they buy their ticket. So often they won't find out about it till they're at the door, and then often they're faced with a conditions of entry list that would take. We counted the one at Kudos Bank Arena, an average read of about 12 minutes to read. You're there with 20,000 other people. Probably you're not going to be reading that notice, but let's say that you do. Your choices are really to forfeit your ticket and turn around and go home, or submit to the use of the technology.
Okay. Look, Kate Bauer, Consumer Data Advocate at Choice, thank you so much for your time this morning. We appreciate it.